So, season 2 of The Walking Dead. Daryl Dixon is going to keep the story rolling with Daryl's adventure in France, and guess what? Carol's making her way to Europe too. But there's this fan theory floating around that Rick Grimes could also end up being a big deal in this storyline. You remember Rick, right? He made a comeback in his spin-off with Michonne, and at the end of The Ones Who Live, he finally reunited with his family. That ending hinted that Rick might be back with the old gang, and if he had some off screen reunions with his buddies at the Commonwealth, there's a good chance Rick's heard about Daryl's situation in France, possibly from Carol. Now, even though Rick probably wants to chill and spend some quality time with his family, helping Daryl out in France isn't totally off the table. Fans have been dying for a Rick and Daryl reunion for what feels like forever, and while we might not get that in season 2 of Daryl's show, Rick could still play a role behind the scenes. With Rick's connections to the CRM and his desire to back up Daryl, there's this theory that Rick might secretly help end the mess in France. L'Union, the group that thinks Laurent is something special, sees him as their future leader, but honestly, they need someone with more experience. Sure, they were managing okay before Daryl showed up, but he really boosted their morale and got Laurent to the nest, showing they needed someone with legit leadership skills. Daryl's awesome, no doubt about it, but he doesn't have the same leadership chops as Rick, who's been in charge of multiple groups and made them stronger. And that's exactly what L'Union could use right now. Of course, Rick's not about to pack up and move to France for good, but he could definitely inspire the resistance and help set things right over there. Even if Rick doesn't physically go to Europe, there's a chance he could make L'Union one of his allied communities through Daryl and Carol, guiding them from afar. The Walking Dead universe has shown time and again that Rick is the best leader around, and getting him involved in France would not only put them in better hands, but also give Laurent a shot at a more normal childhood instead of being thrust into a leadership role he's not ready for. Laurent might be special in Daryl Dixon with his hopeful outlook and all, but expecting a kid to lead a group against a powerful enemy just isn't fair. He's still just a kid, and despite all the religious vibes in Daryl Dixon, the world they're in is harsh. L'Union needs a real leader to stand up against Janae and her army. Now, Rick jumping on a plane to France and risking his life in another battle might be asking a lot, especially after everything he's been through. But Rick's got connections. After all, he spent a long time with the CRM during his apocalypse journey, so he's bound to have some powerful friends. Even though his closest allies didn't make it out of the spinoff, Rick and Michonne managed to stop General Beale's nasty plan and brought peace to the Civic Republic, which means they've earned that community's trust. The ending of The Ones Who Live also hints that even though Rick returned to Alexandria, he's still in good standing with the CRM, who have agents all over the globe, so it's not a stretch to think Rick could pull some strings and get CRM soldiers in Europe to help out L'Union, showing just how crucial he is. Rick might not need to show up in person in Daryl Dixon Season 2 for his influence to be felt, but if the CRM does get involved in the battle for France, they might drop a line or two about their connection to Rick. Season 1 of Daryl's spinoff teased Daryl finding out that Rick is still alive, and Season 2 might finally reveal the truth to him. Remember in episode 5 of Daryl Dixon when Carol mentioned that someone came back? A lot of fans are thinking she might have been talking about Rick. Considering Rick managed to return home to his kids in The Ones Who Live, it's pretty likely that he reconnected with Carol and the rest of the crew at the Commonwealth, adding more fuel to the theory that the call was about Rick. So Daryl might finally learn what happened to his old friend in season 2, with Carol heading to France to find Daryl and the trailer even teasing a reunion. It's clear they're going to meet up when the show returns. Carol might be heading to Europe just because she's worried about Daryl, but there could be something more pressing going on, like telling him that Rick is back. We don't know exactly when Carol and Daryl will run into each other, but it seems super likely that Rick's name will come up, setting the stage for an emotional moment. Given that Jeanette's army has most of the power in France, L'Union needs someone with serious military experience to help them fight back, and Rick fits that bill perfectly.